Formula One's reputation has been repeatedly tarnished by scandals and controversies, stemming from questionable decisions by the FIA, the sport's governing body. FIA President Mohammed bin Sulayem sits at the center of this ongoing crisis. His leadership has been marked by constant interference and exceeding his authority. Now, in a shocking development, bin Sulayem faces an investigation for potentially altering the outcome of the 2023 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Calls for his immediate resignation are echoing throughout the paddock. Mohammed bin Sulayem inherited a crisis when he assumed the FIA presidency in late 2021. The mishandling of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix finale, where race director Michael Masi made a controversial and unprecedented safety car ruling directly impacting the World Championship outcome, left the sport reeling. Fans and teams alike questioned the FIA's integrity and impartiality. Bin Sulayem's response was swift and decisive. Masi was fired. While the FIA acknowledged the situation involved human error, this unilateral action signaled bin Sulayem's approach, prioritizing his own personal interpretation over consensus building or respecting established procedures. His relationship with Liberty Media, Formula One's commercial rights holders, has been marked by open hostility. Publicly questioning the sport's multi-billion-dollar valuation on Twitter, Bin was met with a cease and desist letter from F1's legal team. This public feud exposes a fundamental dysfunction at the heart of F1. The very body meant to govern the sport is actively antagonizing the business entity responsible for its growth and global reach. This isn't simply a clash of personalities. It threatens the long-term health of the sport itself. Perhaps most concerning are the serious allegations against bin Sulayem personally. Claims of bullying tactics within the FIA, coupled with the resurfacing of misogynistic language from a historical website associated with him, create a deeply troubling image. Even if some of these accusations prove unfounded, they severely undermine the aura of fairness and respect that the FIA president should embody. Instead, he comes across as an impulsive figure with questionable personal conduct. The 2023 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, the second race of the season, ignited a firestorm that threatens to engulf the FIA. Two-time world champion Fernando Alonso, driving for Aston Martin, found himself at the center of the controversy. Initially, he received a 5-second time penalty for an incident at the race start, a routine punishment that he served during a pit stop. However, the situation escalated when stewards imposed an additional 10-second penalty on Alonso much later in the race. The justification? Aston Martin allegedly contravened sporting regulations by working on his car while it was still under the initial 5-second penalty. The central issue is the ambiguity of Article 54.4c of the sporting regulations. Did merely touching the car with a jack constitute working on it? Teams across the paddock were left debating whether Aston Martin's actions were truly a violation, and if so, whether the punishment was overly harsh in the context of the race. This incident exposed a lack of clarity in the FIA's own rulebook, fueling the perception that decisions might be arbitrary or even biased towards certain teams. Then the situation took an extraordinary turn. An FIA whistleblower came forward, alleging that President Mohammed bin Sulayem himself had intervened, contacting race officials and pressuring them to overturn the 10-second penalty against Alonso. This claim, if substantiated, would represent an unprecedented breach of conduct. Never before has the head of F1's governing body been accused of directly manipulating a race result. Adding to the intrigue is the fact that bin Sulayem was seen visiting the Aston Martin garage shortly before the penalty was revoked. The FIA's Ethics Committee is facing a monumental task as it delves into allegations surrounding President Mohammed bin Sulayem. The core accusation of the 2023 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix sends shockwaves throughout the motorsport world. This claim, bolstered by a whistleblower account, strikes at the very heart of the FIA's mandate. The president's role is that of a regulator and overseer, not an active participant in race day decision-making. The specific focus on Fernando Alonso's controversial time penalties highlights the stakes involved. Whether or not Aston Martin violated regulations remains debatable, but the whistleblower's allegation suggests a severe breach of power by bin Sulayem. If proven, it would demonstrate a willingness to bypass established procedures and undermine the integrity of the FIA. The potential fallout from this scandal is far-reaching. Bin's presidency hangs in the balance, with calls for his removal gaining traction. The FIA's reputation, already tarnished by past controversies, faces further damage if the president is found guilty of these serious allegations. The The loss of credibility could hinder the FIA's capacity to effectively govern F1 globally. High-level personnel departures, Steve Nielsen, Deborah Mayer, Tim Goss, etc., signal a deeper dysfunction within the organization. These weren't minor figures, but individuals with decades of collective regulatory and sporting experience. Steve Nielsen, as sporting director, played a crucial role in race officiating and rule interpretation. Deborah Mayer, FIA's World Motorsport Council Secretary General, held a position vital to policymaking and governance. Their departures, along with others, represent a significant brain drain for the FIA, weakening its ability to make informed, consistent decisions. Toto Wolff's concerns about the FIA echo a wider sentiment of unease across the paddock. You've got to ask yourself, why is it suddenly that so many people have decided to call it a day? Wolff questioned recently, highlighting the unprecedented number of high-level resignations. While direct criticism has been limited, other team principals have expressed veiled dissatisfaction. For example, McLaren Racing CEO Zak Brown, in a recent interview, stated the FIA needs to demonstrate consistent and transparent decision-making to ensure the confidence of teams and fans. This measured language hints at the growing perception that the FIA is leaderless, or worse, that personal agendas might be taking precedence over sporting expertise, eroding trust at a critical moment. Beyond the immediate repercussions lies the sport's long-term health. Fan trust is a critical ingredient in Formula One's success. The belief in a fair and level playing field is what makes the competition thrilling. If fans perceive that the scales are tipped, whether by incompetence or intentional manipulation, the sport's allure could diminish dramatically. Additionally, the ongoing power struggle between the FIA and Formula One's commercial rights holders threatens stability and growth. Ben Sulayem's abrasive approach and open clashes with Liberty Media are alarming. This fractured relationship could hinder decision-making processes, harm investor confidence, and impact F1's expansion into new markets. Formula One has battled scandals far too often, a pattern that points to systemic issues within the FIA's governance structures. The lack of consistent rule interpretation, the perception of favoritism, and a history of opaque decision-making have eroded the organization's authority. Ben Sulayem's leadership style seems to exacerbate these problems, instead of providing the healing touch the FIA so desperately needs. His personal conduct, marked by historical misogynistic comments and allegations of bullying, cast further doubt on his suitability for the role. The weight of this crisis rests not only on Ben Sulayem, but on the entire Formula One community. If the FIA fails to address these issues decisively, the very foundation of Formula One could be shaken, potentially leading to a bleak future. The FIA faces an existential threat. The outcome of this investigation isn't just about Ben Sulayem's fate, it will define Formula One's future. Will the sport continue down a path littered with scandals, where fans doubt the fairness of every race? Or will the FIA finally embrace the transparency and reform necessary to restore its legitimacy? The choice is clear. Formula One deserves better. The fans deserve better. The sport's very survival depends on it.